welcome to Nerd Alert for April 8th. I'm Jeff Rubin here with Pat Castles and Brian Murphy. On today's episode, we will be talking to the man who designed QWOP, which is perhaps better known as that impossible Flash game where you control a runner's individual limbs. When he's not designing games, he is the deputy director for the Institute of Science and Ethics at Oxford. We'll find out if it's ethically appropriate to release a game that no one can figure out how to play. We're going to hear some people own up to their most embarrassing nerd moments, and this week we have our very first user submission. Some have criticized WWE All-Stars, citing how, in the game, all of the finishing moves send shockwaves across the ring, whereas in real life, that only happens with the Stone Cold Stunner. Will wrestling fans settle for something unrealistic? But first, Arnold Schwarzenegger has teamed up with Stan Lee to create the Governator, a superhero version of Arnold who leads a team of whiz kids in the fight against crime. Will it be a classic like Terminator, cheesy fun like Commando, or a total disaster like the time Schwarzenegger tried to run California? Your thoughts on the subject, Pat?
Probably the third thing. It's a throwback to the cartoons from like the early 90s.
It looks exactly like the cartoon where Mr. T led a team of gymnasts and they solved crime.
Even when I was a kid, I knew those cartoons sucked,
Yeah.
and I had low standards back then.
Yeah, this is like the new Chuck Norris Karate Commandos that nobody was waiting for.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad like dragging it. Clearly, it's a kid's cartoon.
Look around, that's all we're into here.
My favorite part was the Larry King cameo.
Will you be returning to your life as a movie star?
Yeah.
It wasn't dated enough.
More absurd than Schwarzenegger fighting robots is that Larry King was able to stand without having a horrible hunt.
Certain touches of it are very realistic, where he's like, there's a shot of his house, and it's like this palatial Bel Air mansion. He's like, no, this is really where I live, though. This part is real.
My favorite part is when he puts on the sunglasses, which he already established as the coolest thing in the world in Terminator. They become somehow even cooler and become like cyber sunglasses. I thought this was going in like a very Captain Planet-y direction where it was going to be like he was fighting pollution or these like, it'd be teaching kids lessons. But instead it's just like robots attacking San Francisco. If Schwarzenegger wasn't so soft on the robot uprising when he was governor, he wouldn't have to don a supersuit and fight them in San Francisco.
All right, don't get riled up. Not this episode.
His policies on RoboCrime were...
He's soft on RoboCrime.
And he's good at using whatever his previous job was to, like, get his next job. Like when he was a bodybuilder, he used that to get all his, like, Hercules in New York and stuff like that.
But what happened? I don't know. I could not lift it.
But then he was like, when he ran for governor, that's when he came up with, I'm the Governator, and using the terms like girly man, and definitely using his movie persona to become governor.
Conan's sword could not have cleaved our political system in two as cleanly as our own political parties have done.
And now he's using his governor to to influence this cartoon.
Now I'm going to be a private citizen once again. I won't be back.
What was your favorite part of the trailer?
Probably the robots trying to steal sacks of money. First of all, because the sacks of money had little dollar signs on them. You don't see that too much anymore.
Yeah.
Also, why do robots need money? Robots.
Upgrades, I guess?
It's like the perfect storm. It's like too new looking for like us to like go back and kind of like enjoy it ironically, and it's too old looking for like kids to get into it.
And what's really sad is they're so excited about it. He's like, this isn't just a cartoon. It's going to be a comic book. It's going to be a video game. Once we conquer those platforms, he's talking about a 3D movie. And it really has disaster written all over.
Yeah, they haven't succeeded in making a good 4-minute YouTube video. Let's hold back on like the comic book.
Moving on, but continuing with our theme of strong men who are excellent public speakers, WWE All-Stars is now in stores. The game features today's superstars, legends who are too old to wrestle, and The Undertaker who happens to be both. Where does it rank in the pantheon of wrestling video games? Your thoughts, Murph?
It's fun in that it's like cartoony and ridiculous, but also it has like good gameplay and you can actually get better at it.
Wrestling games have always been in this weird place. It's not quite a sport game. It's not quite a fighting game. It's really a genre unto itself.
Right.
It's amazing how long it took to make a wrestling game with like such a sense of humor.
But there's the arcade WrestleMania, right? Where like Razor Ramon's arm turned into like a giant blade.
Right.
Like the Undertaker could produce I think you could even shoot ghosts.
It's kind of bad to treat it like, oh, let's just have the guys beat the hell out of each other without putting in any actual wrestling moves, because then like, why wouldn't you just play Mortal Kombat? Like, there are ninjas who can freeze people. Why would you want to be in a ring?
Because of the cartoony style of the game, Andre the Giant in this looks like a straight-up World of Warcraft ogre. What did you think of the style of the game?
What, like, Lara Croft was to, like, women is what these guys are to like us. Like just to make you feel bad about yourself. Like they look unhealthily jacked.
It really is a more accurate representation of what wrestling's supposed to be. In real wrestling, these guys are coming out. Like the whole point is to make yourself look as ridiculous as possible. You know, you're wearing masks and spandex and carrying 2x4s and big oversized overalls and stuff like that. And I think the game is like honoring that by having them be kind of big, larger than life.
Even within the context of real life wrestling, these guys kind of have superpowers. Like if you hit someone with a tombstone pile driver and had no concern for their well-being, you would kill them. Like you can't sustain that over and over again. So they're somewhat superhuman even on the real life show.
Sure.
We gotta wrap this up, but real quick, are wrestling fans nerds? Murph.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like wrestlers are essentially superheroes.
Up next is Own Up, a new segment where you guys send us your most embarrassing nerd stories and we share them with the world. Let's see what we got this week.
My girlfriend of 2 years and I recently split up because of an argument that started over the proper pronunciation of the word zealot from StarCraft 2. The saddest part is that I don't even play StarCraft 2. I don't even own it. All I do is watch game replays on YouTube.
Is when I was 15, New Year's Eve. I missed the whole countdown and ball drop, not because I was partying or even outside of my basement, but because I was playing a really intense game of Mario Tennis. And the sad thing, or the best part of it is, depending how you look at it, is that it was probably the best New Year's Eve I've ever had.
If you want to own up to your most embarrassing nerdy moments, head to the Nerd Alert Facebook page, post your story on our wall. If we like it, we'll put it in an upcoming episode and send you a t-shirt. Finally today, we are joined via RoboGuest by the man responsible for the track and field game QWOP. This week he released the spiritual successor to QWOP, a mountain climbing game called GURP. Please welcome Bennett Foddy. Thanks for joining us today, Bennett.
Thanks for having me.
Do you have any idea how many people have played QWOP?
It's in the area of 20 to 30 million.
20 to 30 million. That's incredible. That's bigger than Call of Duty. But what's interesting to me, when you see people talk about the game online, the only thing they're talking about is how frustrating it is, how impossible it is, that it's not fun. To what do you attribute the game's popularity?
I think that frustration is something that we're missing in a lot of games. What we miss out on is that feeling of accomplishment that you get when you conquer something that's really frustrating. You've been frustrated for a long time and you break through and you get just a little success. And that's a huge reward.
I totally agree, but do you have any like cheat codes for the game?
As I always tell people, you can close the window and tell everybody that you beat it.
There's a difference in newer games like God of War, where when you sit down, you more or less expect to beat the game, and you expect them to let you beat the game. But older games like Pac-Man or something like QWOP, there's a real challenge.
I think this is partly a function of budgets. You know, if you're going to spend tens of millions of dollars in 4 years putting your game together, you want people to see every little bit of it. You know, I made QWOP in an afternoon, basically, had it up and running. So there's no, I don't need people to get to the end.
I think one reason the game's compelling is that when you start, you can't move at all. So then when you manage to take just one step, it feels like you've done something. It doesn't say game over, you lose. You get a participant badge, as if, you're in summer camp.
At the time, I was just joking when I did that, but I think it is kind of crucial aspect to the game's popularity because nobody really feels like a loser playing QWOP, and then they get just a tiny little bit of progress. They manage to go sort of 5 meters, 10 meters. They manage to crawl along on their knee, and they feel like just absolute champion.
How far can you get in QWOP? Can you beat it?
I can get about 50 meters, and then there's a hurdle about halfway along, and I choke when I see the hurdle.
I've never even seen the hurdle. Have you guys gotten to the hurdle?
No.
Now, you described GURP, your new game, as the spiritual successor to QWOP. What do the two games have in common?
You know, in one way, GURP is an inversion of the idea of QWOP. I've been reading about this guy who has like a robotic arm, and it was attached to his chest muscles. So he had to kind of flex his chest muscles in order to move this arm. And he said after a while, it just started to feel like he was moving his old arm. He didn't have to think about chest muscles. So in QWOP, you know, I'm kind of hoping that if you play it enough times, maybe days and nights without sleeping, then eventually QWO and P just disappear for you. Basic nature of QWOP is that, you know, it's very much the opposite of what we think about when we run. We don't think about our muscles. So I was forcing you to kind of think about those things. Now with GURP, it's the opposite of that. I wanted to make a strong analogy between what you want to do and how you have to do
You
it.
kind of have to end up twisting your fingers around each other, you know, as if you're really holding on to something. And then when it's time to let go of one ring and grab onto a new one, I always have to think, like, which one am I letting go of? Which I want to make sure I let go of the right hand, that I don't destroy my previous 15 minutes of progress. So it does kind of put you, maybe more than something like Gears of War, in the mindset of the character you're controlling.
That's right. I think it sort of makes you feel embodied in the guy. Maybe you feel more like you're the little guy on the screen.
Is it weird, like with QWOP, to design a game that you yourself, the creator, can't beat?
I think that would be weird in a game where you were designing levels and kind of you needed to test everything to make sure it would work all right. But QWOP is just a system, you know. As long as I can make sure the system is working, I don't need to be able to go all the way to the end. I mean, I could have made QWOP sort of infinitely long, and you know, then I wouldn't have been able to finish it no matter how good I was.
For all I know, it could be infinitely long.
I think that is all the time we have today. Thank you so much for joining us, Bennett. Thank you to Pat and Murph. Nerd Alert will be back next week to talk about the 2011 lineup of Super Soaker, so you're going to want to see that. In the meantime, here is CGY, our bad special effects of the week. Later, losers.
It's Turbo Time!